Hey everyone, Seth here. Quick reminder, if you want to contact us with a question or comment or whatever, there are a couple ways you can do so. Either you can go to our email at more.layers.podcast@gmail.com, or you can go to YouTube, use the comment section below the videos, or a direct YouTube message is another way you can do that. And just feel free to give us any questions, comments, podcast topic suggestions, whatever, shout out whatever, and we'll try to get back. Stream all of our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. Hey everyone, welcome again to More Layers. I'm Seth Mariano.
And I'm Jordan Smith, and we appreciate everybody's patience because we know our schedule has been few and far between, but we have a lot of things going on in our personal lives which cause some delays. But now we are here, and since we still have most of the year left to go, we figured it would be a nice time to say what the two of us are looking forward to in this upcoming year of 2024.
All right, but before that, if you don't mind, for those who don't know, Jordan recently took a trip to Florida. I
hmm
think you spent some time in Pensacola at a convention with a bunch of voice actors. Well, if you want, you can tell us more about that real quick.
Yeah, so for those who are not aware, we took the initial time off because of our show with Artists Unlimited, which we do every year. But then we took another one because, as Seth has said, I went to Florida. In this particular case, this was during the last week of February. And the reason why I went is, well, a big reason is because some of my family's down there, and I don't get to see much of my family on a regular basis anymore. So it was definitely a nice treat. But my family, while I was down there, they pointed out that there was a convention that was not too far from where they are, and they happened to have some Sonic franchise voice actors. And for those who don't already know, I'm a big Sonic fan, so it was an absolute delight to have the opportunity to meet them, which I did. Uh, I will go into more detail as we talk today because I do have some segues into those things. But yeah, that's where I was. That's why there was another bit of a delay, but now we're here.
Yeah, I think we'll get a pretty good story or two about that as we go. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So, this is something kind of, in a way is very relevant to us because, Jordan and I are actually part of a weekly Bible study. And one kind of icebreaker we always have is something coming up that we're looking forward to. So, this is very relevant in that way. So, why don't we start with what Jordan says he's looking forward to?
Works for me. And the first thing I have is kind of just really getting into my new job. I've worked with Wegmans for a little over a year and a half at this point, and I really needed to make some extra money. And one of my friends, his mom, came up to me, asked me if I wanted to take a job where I work with one of her kids. I won't give his name for his sake, for privacy and whatever. But I figure why not? It sounds like fun, and so far it has been. So I am definitely looking forward to working with him for the rest of this year and hopefully beyond.
Yeah, good. Yeah. He I'd say Jordan for a while was actually working at the same supermarket where my family and I often get stuff, and so on occasion we'd run into him there, or one of us would, and yeah, yeah, which was pretty cool. And sounds like he's still doing it for now, and seeing what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still working there for now. Uh, but at this point, it's weekend exclusive, so I can put my focus on this new job with somebody that I've been friends with for years.
From what he's told me, it's going good so far.
So far, yeah. I can't go into too many details with anybody just because of confidentiality, privacy, and all that stuff. But rest assured that it's going well.
Yep.
So then the next thing I'm looking forward to is everything surrounding the next Artists Unlimited show we are going to do. At the time of recording this, neither of us know what that show is going to be. However, as we've kind of touched upon in previous episodes, one fun thing we have before the show is announced is trying to figure out what it is. Because sometimes, intentionally or not, some possible hints or clues are dropped, or maybe something will happen out in the real world that might lead to us doing a show. Like if the rights are released for a show, maybe we'll do that one because everyone's doing it, or some other crazy event. But it's really fun to figure out what the show is. And then once we do know what the show is, that's when we start guessing who's going to play what character. Because a lot of the same people come back for each show each year. Then, of course, at some point, rehearsals begin, and that's always something to look forward to in of itself. And then, not too long after that, they announce who's going to play what. And then we get into the nitty gritty. And finally, in usually November, we do the actual show. And once that's over, the cycle starts over again. So, pretty much anything that has to do with Artists Unlimited each year, I look forward to.
Yeah, I look forward to that myself. And at the time we're recording this, we still haven't been informed quite yet when the announcement is going to be made. Maybe they're still figuring it out, but it's usually like somewhere in the first third of the year, somewhere like February, March, or April. But I'd say what they'll do is, but a bunch of us will get together and kind of catch up for a while, and then at the end of that, and some cryptic clues of some kind will be dropped that kind of describe what the show is. And then of course they'll say what it is, and then we've got like August through November to kind of get ready for it, and then we perform the thing in November, and it cycles through again like that the next year.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a lot of fun, even before the show itself officially begins. And for this particular one, the most we have to work off of is knowing that the people who make the decision of what the show is going to be, they have started meeting to talk about it. And this was a little while ago. So hopefully in the coming weeks, we will learn something as to, at the very least, when the announcement will be made.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've heard some people talking about it wanting to be Aladdin, but I've been told that's out of our reach because we cannot secure the rights, at least not yet. So that might eliminate that from the possibility list. But whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be really good.
Oh, yeah. And they've talked about bringing back other ones that they've done before, or possibly doing one that they haven't done. And some of the ones that they've named have been like doing Cinderella again, of possibly doing Music Man, and at least one or two others I remember hearing the name of, but don't remember. But maybe it could be one of those. Last year, they wanted to do Suzical.
Yes.
However, because another theater in the same area was also doing it, we figured it would be a smart idea to switch it up. So we ended up doing Mary Poppins. So maybe they'll do Suzical this time. Who knows?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Music Man. But I feel like maybe that'd be a little tricky. There's some like fast-paced song lyrics. I don't know who could handle that, but if we can make it work, I say go for it.
Oh, yeah. And we have some wonderful music people. Our music director, who's been with us for a long time, she's absolutely phenomenal. So if for some reason somebody had a challenge working with fast lyrics, I'm sure she could find a way around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Never say never.
Oh,
Never say
absolutely.
never.
Absolutely. Then moving on now, the next thing on my list is just seeing my family again whenever that may be. I don't have anything set in stone, so I don't know when or if it will happen this year. Usually in the summer, I might go down to Virginia or something to see someone in my family, usually my brother or sister. Um, but nothing is set in stone right now. It's all up in the air. But I'm sure I'll see at least a couple of them at some point before the year's out. And any chance I get to see my family again is absolutely something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, sure.
I miss them all, so it's always a gift. Then I also wrote competing in more Smash Brothers tournaments. For those who are not aware, Smash Brothers is a fighting game series that includes mostly Nintendo characters, but some non Nintendo ones are in there. And there will be tournaments all around the country, some national, some international, some much more local. But I love competing in those tournaments or even going where they're being hosted, if for no other reason, because I can be around a lot of people who have the same interest as I do, sometimes to even more of an extreme. But I do have a competitive side to me. So I love being in the tournaments if I can. And the one that I've been going to every year, minus when the pandemic was a big deal,
Sure.
is out in Virginia, which is also a reason for me to go see some of my family. So those two things can go hand in hand. I can compete in some tournaments. I can see my families. They usually like to come and watch, which is very much appreciated. And then before and after the tournaments take place, I have time to spend with my family.
Yeah. Now, since you said they aren't all Nintendo characters, I kind of have to ask: are there any Sonic ones?
Yes, Sonic himself is a fighter in the game. Other Sonic characters make an appearance, but they are not characters you can play as. Shadow and Knuckles, for example, they appear as assist trophies, which are little characters that you can call upon to help you for a brief amount of time. And then other characters might appear in the background of a Sonic stage. But as of right now, Sonic is the only one you can actually play as.
All right, cool.
For sure. And since that one tournament I mentioned is also a convention, it goes right into my next entry, which is just going to more conventions. I've kind of wanted to do that even before I went to the one in Florida. But this one definitely helped motivate me to want to go to more conventions if I can. Sometimes they can be a little pricey, uh, and sometimes they're hard to get to because they're far away or something. But this particular one definitely is a motivator for me because of some of the experiences I've had while I was down there. As I mentioned, this particular one in Pensacola, I was able to meet some Sonic franchise voice actors, and they were Jason Griffith, who used to voice characters like Sonic, Shadow, and even one named Jet, Ryan Drummond, who voiced Sonic before he did, Lisa Ortiz, who once voiced Amy, and Pete Capella, who voices a character named Silver. And I expected maybe to be able to talk to them each for about 30 seconds or so. But I think all of them talked to me for a good at least 5, maybe even 10 minutes. They showed that they didn't want to just rush through talking to all the fans and getting all the autographs out. They genuinely took their time because they wanted to. They listened to every word that I was saying. They were very supportive of my wanting to become a film and voice actor. They all signed something for me. And I met several other people that I will definitely hold a special place for. Like my mom and I, we ran into Lou Ferrigno, who once voiced, or not even voiced, he was the Hulk on TV way before pretty much anyone else. He was pretty much the OG Hulk. And it was a spectacular experience to meet him. I forget the guy's name. I think it's like Faison, however you pronounce it, but it's the guy who voiced, I keep saying voiced because I'm talking about voice actors, but he played the store clerk in the movie Elf.
Yeah,
The
I was
one that,
wondering about that. We saw the lineup and we knew he was scheduled to be there. So yeah, I was wondering about that.
yeah, we met him. He's a wonderful guy. He likes to laugh. He talked about some of the scenes in the movie, and he ultimately said that Will Ferrell was a joy to work with.
All
So we
right.
definitely had a blast with him. I did see some people, but not necessarily meet them. Like I met, or rather saw Rob Paulson, who worked on a lot of things like Animaniacs, Butch Hartman, who is the creator behind shows like Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom. My mom met some people that she really wanted to meet, and there were just a lot of great costumes. And at one point, the Sonic voice actors had a panel where you go and some initial questions are asked that they answered, and then the audience can get up and ask their own questions. And when I got up there, I asked them if they could give some voice acting tips to bring whatever character it is to life to really make things sound real. And they gave me some great pointers. I think the most common one was to avoid sounding like I'm reading. Because if I'm just reading, it's not going to sound nearly as believable. And just, it would be better to imagine someone in the recording booth with me and act like I'm talking to them. And Jason Griffith in particular, he demonstrated the difference that can make, and it really does. It really does make a lot of difference. So while I don't expect every convention I go to be exactly like that one, I'm sure that there will be others in the future where I will have wonderful memories made. And I will go specifically into one more in just a little bit.
Yeah, well, that sounds like really cool. And I like that whole like pointer about, imagining there's someone there with you when you're talking to them. That's something, I thought, if I do decide to try voice acting, I'll probably have to keep that pointer in mind.
Oh, yeah. And there's definitely some great places in the area for voice acting, like the place that myself and some other people again,
Sure.
not saying their name for privacy, have been taking some voice acting classes. So
Yeah.
the option's always open.
Yeah.
So next down on my list, speaking of voice acting, is all the fun voice acting stuff I will be doing. Uh, my voice acting coach, he's a phenomenal guy. He helps really expand our creative horizons, doing all these fun things, fan dubs, writing fun little scripts, playing some improv games where we create these characters off the top of our heads. But definitely the latest edition has been fan dubs, where we take a scene from a show or a movie or something, and we do usually our best impressions of the characters. And then he edits it together so our voice is coming out and we can see some of the similarities, some of the differences between the original and ours. And that really helps us improve. And sometimes we just do one for fun. And I will say that the last one we did, meaning the most recent one, will always hold a special place because it is dedicated to Akira Toriyama. For those who don't know who that is, Akira Toriyama, he is the creator of multiple big projects like Dr. Slump, but the one he is most likely to be remembered for is the Dragon Ball franchise. He's the one who created that whole thing. And unfortunately, back on March 1st, he passed away.
Yeah,
I mean, it
just
wasn't
read.
announced to the public until about a week later, but he did pass, and we did a fan dub as a tribute to him from the Dragon Ball franchise. So, voice acting can even be used for something like that, something to pay homage to somebody else or show appreciation for their work, the positive impact they've had on, in this case, millions and millions of people. In fact, just the other day, I saw photos where somewhere else in the world, about 20,000 people gathered in real life, face to face, to do an iconic pose from the Dragon Ball franchise as if they were paying homage or even, in their case, sending energy as a reference to the show to Akira. So, voice acting or many other forms of media can be used for heartwarming things like that. And it's stuff like that that I look forward to.
Yeah.
So, the next thing I have, which will go into the final element I will discuss on my journey through Pensacola's convention, is possibly working with one of the Sonic franchise voice actors, Lisa Ortiz. She was the voice of Amy. I don't think she is now. But when I was down there and I was talking to her and she was talking at the panel, she mentioned how she also happens to be a voice actor and a casting director for other shows and such out there, such as Pokemon, to name one. So since she is a casting director, I went up to her booth afterwards and I shot my shot and said, "Hey, do you need any more voice actors? I would love to get my foot in the door." And I was fully expecting to just be told there are no openings or just a flat out no or something like that, and I would have totally understood. However, that's not quite what happened. She didn't guarantee I'd have anything, at least not in the near future, but she gave me some tips as to how I can do things like submit a demo reel and send things to her email or post things on her personal website to get my name out there to hopefully get her attention again. She even told me that once I send a demo reel to her, also send her an email saying, "Hey, it's me again. We met at Pensacon and I'm sending you this demo reel. Let me know what you think." And she told me if she doesn't respond right away for some reason, to check in every month, month and a half or so. And hopefully it'll turn into some opportunity where I'll be able to work with her, get my foot in the door, and really get my voice acting career off the ground. So even putting the demo reel is something I'm absolutely looking forward to. And I am absolutely blessed to have this opportunity with her. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah. A number of voice actors that I know, well, not personally, but I know their names. I know some of their work. They have their own websites where you can go on and you can listen to like multiple different reels of clips of work they've done, like animation and commercials and stuff. It's in a way it's good, a good entertainment. It can also be a pretty good learning tool as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It can be a learning tool, it can be an experience for both people. You can see what they've been doing, maybe give recommendations, maybe get recommendations. And in some cases, maybe somebody looking for some voice actors might stumble across that and be like, "I like this person. I want to hire them."
Yeah. Yeah. And the story you were telling about, weren't sure if you asking that question was going to get you far, reminds me of a time when I was unemployed. I went to a job fair once and went up to this one booth for this one workplace. And they said, so what kind of work you looking into? I said, well, like this and that. And they saying, we really don't have anything for that. So A little awkward, but yeah, so kind of similar to what you said.
Well, it's kind of like what they say when you're attracted to somebody. If you never shoot your shot, you're never going to hit your target.
Or like what Gretzky said, you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah, that's definitely a better way to put it.
Yeah,
So I
it was,
figured even if I were to get a flat out no,
Yeah.
I figured good idea to ask.
Yeah.
Now, before we continue, I am going to turn a light on in here because I realize that my face is getting really dark. So give me 1 second.
Well, yeah, I guess you're just getting used to like the daylight hours getting longer and stuff, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's starting to stay at least relatively bright past 7 p.m. our time. But it's not quite to the point yet. We're recording at this time of the day. We'll always stay bright. So 1 sec.
Yeah, let's give them a moment, and we'll let them light up the place, and yeah, that ought to do it.
Okay. Should be a little better. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a couple more things,
Yep.
and one of them being the total solar eclipse. Now, we happen to be in a position where we're pretty much in the direct path of where that solar eclipse is going to happen. And for us, it'll be, I think, around midday on April 8th. So it's still a little less than a month away, but this is a rare occurrence. So anytime something like this happens, people in our area, they get really excited, they get prepared way out in advance. And I will have an opportunity now to be able to just stop and see it, and I'm sure it will be beautiful.
And the local news has already been talking about it, I've noticed.
Yeah, they definitely have. Sometimes it's the Weather Channel, sometimes it's the news in general. But oftentimes, if it's a big deal in a local area, they're going to be talking about it for a long period of time, both before and after. I'm sure that after the eclipse actually happens, photos will start pouring in about what it looks like from their perspective. And I'm sure the news will show some of that.
Yeah, it'll be high up on the trending hashtag list on Twitter, I'm sure, or X, as it's probably supposedly being called now.
I mean, I suppose it's its official name, but I'm sure that many other people, such as myself, will still refer to it as Twitter.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
kind of
everything.
alternating at this point, I think.
It kind of is. I'm not going to lie, but for now, I'm still going to call it Twitter.
Yeah, sure.
Then the last one, I wanted to put at least one more, and I didn't really have an idea at first, but then I thought, what movies are coming out this year? So for my last entry, I wrote the Knuckles spin-off tied to the Sonic movies, which also has a third installment coming out at the end of this year. So I'm looking forward to both. I'm not sure how I'll watch the Knuckles spin-off because it's on a streaming service that I don't have, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. But I'm very much looking forward to both because obviously I like Sonic. The second movie definitely built up a lot of excitement for the third. They have announced that Jim Carrey is in fact coming back to play his role, which everyone was worried that he wasn't, but he is. And if they keep going on the path that they have been, like the first one being good and the second one being great, the third movie and this spinoff ought to be absolutely spectacular.
Yep. Guess only time will tell.
Yeah, so far we haven't had a trailer for the third movie. We have had trailers and quick TV spots for the Knuckles show. But so far, not much has been said about the third movie. But regardless, I'm still excited.
All right. Okay. Was that it for you?
Yep.
All right. All right. So I also put down Artists Unlimited as well. It definitely is something I look forward to every year for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I've maybe made some slight loose, you could probably say, speculations about what we could end up doing, and maybe thought on occasion about who's gonna get what role. I just more than anything look forward to seeing people in the cast again, and and a little bit, I guess, once finding out what we're gonna do, you know, trying to think about how I might approach the show and that sort of thing. So
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
yeah, yeah, and I also listed the day of the solar eclipse myself, particularly because well, we're getting that day off from work for whatever reason, which I was not expecting, but a pleasant surprise though. I don't know if it's really relevant to you because I think it's on a weekday, so I don't know if it really affects you or not. But
Well, even if it did affect my other job, it's something I could work around, and I might even be able to use that opportunity to take the person I'm working with to go see the eclipse. And if I had to guess, I'm not saying this is factual, obviously, because I don't know, but it's entirely possible that you got that day off because of how rare an occurrence this is.
well, I thought maybe it was because it gets dark and it probably gets dangerous on the street or something, but I could be wrong though.
It's entirely possible, but I don't think the eclipse lasts that long. Like, you'll definitely start seeing it begin to cover the sun over a period of time, but the actual amount of time, I believe, where it's completely blocking the sun, I don't think it'll last too long before it starts to brighten back up again. I don't know the science behind it. I'm not a space science expert, so
No,
I don't know.
yeah,
But
me either. I it wasn't my strongest suit in school for sure.
yeah, it
Um,
wasn't for me either.
no, I mean, I liked math, but
Yep, me too.
yeah. So yeah, well, it was nice because I usually have to work a 5-day work week, and so this kind of a nice deviation from that. So
It'll definitely be a spectacle, to be sure. And I can't wait to see all the photos that people post.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm also we'll be taking some time off from work this summer. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I really have no idea, but my folks think I should plan to take a few days off during the summer to take a trip or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'm sure. But whatever it is, I hope it'll be something good that I end up
Oh, I'm
doing.
sure it will.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this was some news that kind of came out about maybe a month ago. They have jumped back into production for the sixth season of Cobra Kai, one of my favorite shows currently. Yeah. It was production for the show was a bit delayed for a while because of the ongoing writer's strike, but it was announced that back in February they got back in action shooting the new and farewell season. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been a really good show so far, and I'm really excited to see how it all concludes.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show myself, but I have seen the Karate Kid movies that tie into this
Yeah.
Cobra Kai show. Everyone tells me it's really good, so maybe if I find the opportunity, I will watch it at some point. But like Seth said, because there were multiple strikes going on, a lot of production on TV shows and movies came to a screeching halt. A lot of big shows like Cobra Kai or Stranger Things or big movies like Deadpool and what have you stopped production entirely because of the strike. So a lot of people were bummed. They weren't sure when the strikes were going to end. And as a result, they didn't know when the production of movies would start up again. But after a while, the strikes kind of fizzled out. I don't know if they came to a
A
specific
resolution.
deal. Right, a resolution. That's definitely a good word. Um, but productions are back up and running for the most part. Some delays obviously have been made even after the strikes kind of unofficially ended. But for fans of shows like Cobra Kai and Stranger Things who are trying to wrap up with their final season or two, it's definitely a breath of fresh air knowing that work on some of their favorite shows, like for Seth and Cobra Kai, are back in production.
Yeah, if you really are interested, the first couple of episodes and the first one of the second season are available in full on regular YouTube. You can see like the rest of the first couple seasons if you have like premium, but at the very minimum, you can get a few in full on their official channel.
Okay, so yeah, if I'm able to see the first couple of episodes relatively easily, I'll probably have to check them out then.
Yeah, yeah. And then something a little more similar. I didn't have any idea this was going to be coming out until I actually kind of did some research to prepare for this episode of like what movies are coming. And one of them apparently is a new sequel to Pixar's Inside Out.
Yeah, this is definitely a big deal because I don't think Pixar really does sequels all that often. And even when they do, it can often take a long period of time. Like when they did The Incredibles, there was a 14-year gap between the first and the second one. But Inside Out 2 is coming out. They will be introducing more emotions, that much I know. And I guess Riley is going to be a teenager at this point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which from the description it does sound like a good idea. We're catching up with Riley at another stage in her growing up and going to introduce the emotion of anxiety personified as well.
sure.
So there's a lot of good potential, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I'm often a little skeptical on sequels, especially since sometimes they don't plan to make a sequel until after they see how successful the first one is. Um, but this one does look promising.
Yeah, I do believe they've got the same writer or director handling this one, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, if Star Wars has taught us anything, you typically want to hold on to the same director throughout so that the story doesn't keep shifting.
Right. Let's take and then one last thing on my list was the next coming football season for the Buffalo Bills. I've probably mentioned this before. They are my favorite team, honestly. Right now, I would say in all sports, honestly. And you know, I kind of had a feeling this past year, or would be the year they finally do it. They finally go all the way, but stuff happened. They had their struggles. Had a crashing halt at the end of the divisional round, but I feel like what's done is done, and we may have to make some adjustments. Change a lot of things dramatically, but I'm kind of keeping my hope up that this next year will be the one.
Well, I'm hoping for you because I know the Bills have been to the Super Bowl multiple times in a row, no less.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've ever actually won a Super Bowl.
Well, nope.
So this would definitely be a history maker. And if they get there instead of the Chiefs, I will be thrilled. Uh, but in any case, while I am more of a Dolphins fan as opposed to a Bills fan, mostly because of my family, um, if the Dolphins don't make it, I'll definitely be rooting for the Bills. But now that this past season is over, this is a good opportunity for the Bills to regroup and come back stronger.
Yeah, I feel like no, they got time to figure it out, and feel like I know Jordan's team, the Eagles, have been pretty consistently solid, and I think they could do well again. I think they're on track.
Yeah, we started out well last season and then kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end. But if we can keep the momentum that we had at the start of last season going into this one, I will definitely feel pretty good about them. But we'll see. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Well, we may not have a Super Bowl ring yet here in Buffalo, but one thing we do have, well, maybe I should say a person, Haley Steinfeld, because she's dating our quarterback, Josh Allen, reportedly. So,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm not as thrilled about the publicity that Taylor Swift is getting in the football stands, but if we got more shots of Haley, I would be all for that.
Yeah, I will definitely support that.
Yeah.
And for those who have had their opinions on Taylor Swift being shown at NFL games, here's where I stand with that. I am not against her being there. I'm not against her dating one of the players. I'm not against her getting some camera attention every so often. But it was very clear to me that the NFL was doing everything they could to capitalize on her presence, whether she was just arriving or was in the stands. Every once in a while, even if only for a brief moment of time, they would flip over to her in the stands for what felt like no reason at all, other than to be like, hey, look, it's Taylor Swift, yada, yada, yada. Because they knew it would rope Taylor Swift fans into watching football. And it worked. So if they don't do that again, I will be happy. Or if they really tone it down, I might let it slide.
And I feel like I'm working on letting it bother me less and less often, I think, but I will say though, it does seem kind of exploitative in the way the more I think about it. And
Right.
I don't know. I mean, like at every Super Bowl, you have like crowd shots of a bunch of special guest celebrities there in attendance, and that's cool. But but this is maybe pushing it a little too much further.
It definitely was. Like, I know when the Lions were in their last game of the season, Eminem was there, and they did show the camera pointing at him every so often, but not nearly as much as Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
At least I don't think.
Well, on a higher note, why don't we go into our kind of like more curious, more or less icebreaker question this time? What are some places outside of the United States that you would like to travel? And Jordan, you want to go first?
Sure. We've kind of dabbled in this topic before, but now we're going to really put a little bit of focus on it. One of the places I've been wanting to visit for a while now has been Japan. I don't know where in Japan specifically yet, but I've always had this fascination with some Asian cultures, like their art, their music, their forms of entertainment, and what have you.
Manga.
Manga is one, yeah. For those who don't know, manga is like a comic book, except you read the pages in backwards order. Like you read from the back to
Go
the
from
front
right to
instead of
left.
the front to back.
Yeah, and there's like a whole section at the Barnes and Noble, like me, him, and like a mutual friend of ours would occasionally go to the mall and kind of look at that section, and it seems to be making a bit of a surgence in even school libraries where I'm working right now. So yeah, it's actually making a name for itself, I think, in the culture around us. I think.
Oh, for sure. So that's definitely a big one. Hopefully, I'll be able to go at some point. I just don't have the time or money right now. And then another would be London. And I don't know if just because I like doing the British accent or because I've seen, heard, read some stories that happen to take place in London. Maybe it's because Big Ben is there.
Or maybe
Um,
because of Mary Poppins, which we just did,
that could
which
definitely be a big part of it as well. Because,
which you've done 3 times.
yeah, that's the thing. After doing it this past year, this is the third time I've done a production of Mary Poppins, the second time with Artists Unlimited. Uh, so we've done shows that take place in London, uh, and obviously you can't fully understand what a culture is like just based off one production, but it's definitely been a source of motivation for me to go there at some point. I don't know when, how, or what I do there necessarily, but I would definitely love to visit. It seems beautiful. It seems like it has some friendly people, but yeah, hopefully I'll get the opportunity at some point. Maybe I'll take some friends or family with me, but I'm sure it'll be fun as a tourist.
Yeah.
And the same can be said for my next entry, which would be Italy. Partly because of the culture, partly because of some of the food they might have there. Because I love Italian food. Um, but some of it just has to do with my family, because I do have some Italian blood in my family, and some of my family lives out in Italy that I've never met in my life. So it would be absolutely wonderful to go there. I know some of my direct family has been there before. I haven't had that opportunity yet. I would love to go at some point. Uh, and I would love to taste some pastas directly from Italy. I'd love to see the kind of art style they have, a lot of their cultures, maybe even learn a little bit of their language, and of course, meet some of my full on Italian family.
So you've got relatives down there?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I've seen photos of them, but I've never met them in real life.
All right. Yeah, so maybe, yeah, do go.
Yeah, at some point, I'm sure I will. I just got to find the right opportunity. Then the last one I thought of probably would be Ireland. I it might be because I also have a little bit of Irish in me, but I can't even fully explain it. There's just been something about Ireland that's made me want to go there for a while. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's just because of some Irish songs I've heard before. Maybe it's because of some Irish folklore or stories that I've heard before. But there's something about Ireland in general that just draws me to it. So I'm sure at some point I would like to go. I just don't know yet entirely what I would do when I get there.
All right. All right, so was that it for you?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I wrote down a few places. First one is Jamaica. I feel like I think of that place. I think like um, you know, water, nice weather, and well, lively music, and so and and I like songs like Jamaica Farewell, and so I feel like and probably after seeing that one episode of The Amazing Race where they played Deo on steel drums, I feel like I want to maybe give that place a try.
Sure. And I want to say there was a movie called Cool Runnings that
Oh yeah,
focused,
Disney, yeah, bobsled, yeah.
yeah. And I don't know how accurate their Jamaican depictions are, but if they are, then I feel like that could be another reason to go.
Yeah. Yep. And then I also said Japan, specifically two parts. Tokyo, because I'm a big tech guy and now there's a lot of advanced tech there. And then Okinawa, because of, well, my interest in Cobra Kai and kind of the karate that it focuses on. So Tokyo and Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that because places like Tokyo and South Korea, they have some of the most advanced technology on the planet.
Yeah.
In fact, I think one of them also has the current record for the fastest internet anywhere in the world. Um, and with Okinawa, it does bring up a valid point because, especially for things like movies and TV shows, a lot of people will go somewhere just to see where something was filmed, like on site. So if Okinawa is where they filmed Cobra Kai, that would make perfect sense.
I don't know if it is necessarily. It's like where the style of karate that they do on the show was kind
Oh,
of in.
okay.
So yeah, yeah, it's kind of like the birthplace of that of however you say it, Guju Ryu style karate. That's where that kind of all began. And that's the kind of
Okay.
karate that they do like in the movies and on the show.
I didn't even realize karate had multiple subcategories. I'll have to do my research on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then I also said Italy, well, because of my major blood in Italy. And yeah, pretty much for that reason, if not anything else. I am, well, largely Italian. I also have some blood in like Greece, Turkey, bunch of places, mostly European, I think. So I'm probably the whitest person I know. So yeah, so seriously though, Italy because of my heritage, basically.
Sure. It's always wonderful to go back and see kind of where you or your family came from.
Yeah. Once again, then Zimbabwe, a nation in Africa, because of I saw a photo once of the waterfall, Victoria Falls. Well, it's a pretty beautiful landscape there. I would kind of like to kind of experience that, maybe up close and personal. So
Now, do you have a general idea as to where in Africa that is? Like northern, southern?
I feel like it might be in the southern part. I'm not sure, but that would be my guess.
Okay, because I've never been the most geographically inclined, if that's the proper phrasing. But there are some places in Africa with beautiful, beautiful landscapes. And if Zimbabwe is where Victoria Falls is, I'm sure that would be a perfect example.
Yeah, yeah, and then well, Israel, I think, would be another one because of my personal Christian faith and me kind of wanting to see me kind of some of those geographical areas, that are kind of highlighted or mentioned in scripture up close and personal, well, in more exact detail. That would be nice to see things like like the Garden of Gethsemane or all those other places you read about in more exact detail.
Oh, sure. And anything that you normally see on a screen or you read about in a book or something like that, that you finally get a chance to see for real, I found to be an always surreal feeling and in the best ways. Now, when it comes to Israel specifically, I know some people in our Bible study, including its leader, they've been there before. They've seen some of that stuff firsthand. So even if you don't have an opportunity to go in the near future, you can always talk to them about it and ask them what it was like. What did they see? What did they do?
Yeah.
To at least if nothing else, get a general idea.
Yeah. 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 So that's my whole list. And thank you everyone for watching, listening, whatever. And like I say in the intro, take advantage of all our different platforms, send us your questions, comments, and interact with us freely.
Absolutely. And let us know, what are some places outside your country that you want to go to? What are some things this upcoming year that you're looking forward to doing? We always love the interaction we have with our fans, with fellow people interested in the topics we talk about. Um, if you have something you want us to talk about in the future, let us know. If you have questions, feel free to ask. We might even feature them in a future episode. But any interaction we have is welcomed.
Yeah. Very encouraged. Yes. And well, thanks again. And take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Take care.